All right, welcome into Sports Bit. Betty and Insight today, Wednesday, August 24th. Pauly and Teddy, big game breakdown. The huge series continues in LA. Giants and the Dodgers and the red hot Royals trying to make it 10-0 in Miami. Deep dive, a lot of news, NFL practices, some key guys back. Some guys are going to sit out. We'll get to all that coming up. And money time, the play of the day. Bad beats, bad bets, bad for the books. This was bad for the books, Teddy. Royals, Marlins under, bet down from 8 to 7, 1-0 final.
Yeah, the over had no chance. There was only one extra base hit in the game. The only run scored, you know how it's scored. It's a Royals game. Single, stolen base, single. Two bullpens shut the door late. And yeah, all of that under money cashes. Not a good result for the house.
Bad bet, the Rays, who were bet up to $1.25. Archer has 17 losses in August.
Yeah, I mean, the line was a head scratcher to me. Just because the Rays can't be chalk over the Red Sox. Doesn't matter who's pitching. The betting markets focus so much on the starting pitcher. And Archer, he's tremendous. He throws another gem. He's this year's Corey Kluber. As you mentioned, Chris Archer now 7-17. The team is 8-19 in his starts. And he's only been higher than plus 120 all year, Pauly. So we're talking about a guy who ranks now number 297 out of 297 pitchers who have started a game this year in terms of profitability. Minus 13.5 units in 27 starts. Look, the guy's got an ERA of 3.06 since the All-Star break. He's got 6 solid outings in 7 tries, and yet Tampa hasn't won back-to-back Archer starts since the first week of May.
Jesus. You mentioned Kluber. Here's the numbers. Last year, 326 out of 326 in pitchers who started at least one game in profitability, lost 17.5 units in the 32 starts. The teams won 11-21 when he was on the mound. He finished the season with a 3.49 ERA, 245 strikeouts while eating up 222 innings. But the guys who will crush you, Teddy, the guys who are the aces, and they aren't winning, but they're huge prices.
Well, exactly. The guys that aren't going to kill you in the betting markets are some fifth starter type. Number one, they don't last long enough to kill you all year. And number two, they're dogs. When you have a Corey Kluber from 2015 or a Chris Archer from 2016, we know they're great pitchers. Archer will be just fine. This has been a bad year, and nothing is going right. And those are the type of pitchers that will absolutely kill you. But what about Boston now? Buchholz throwing another gem, Pauly.
Huge. 9 strikeouts and 6 1/3, back-to-back solid outings. That is huge for them if that guy steps up and he pitches well.
Sure. If Buchholz, again, he only gave up 1 run each of his first 2 starts since rejoining the rotation. If he can do that, Boston becomes really, really dangerous between now and October because they can hit the baseball from top to bottom of that lineup.
Another bad bet, the Rangers. 15-cent move, shut out by the Reds.
Yeah, I mean, if you've been watching Sportsbet, you already know how good the Reds have been for the pocket since the All-Star break. 9 series wins in 1 push and 12 tries, cashing underdog ticket after underdog ticket after underdog ticket over the course of the last 6 weeks. Look, Straley shut down the Rangers last night, 6 shutout innings. Then Iglesias needed only 30 pitches to, in 2 innings, and then Cingrani retired the side in the 9th, although he didn't make everyone sweat. 2 walks to make the Reds and underbettors sweat for a minute. But this is the 3rd time the Texans have been shut out in the last 10 days. The 5th time they've been shut out since the All-Star break. Pauly, the Rangers a playoff team, yes or no?
Absolutely. They're going to win that division.
World Series team?
They're going to win. Yeah, they're going to win the division easy, and they'll be a force in the playoffs. They're going through a bit of a funk, but I like their offense. And when you have Hamels and Darvish in the playoffs, they're dangerous. Everyone's got a shot when they get in there. And the Indians are playing good ball too, but their starting pitching's been up and down, especially Carrasco and Salazar. So I look at Cleveland.
Yeah, sure.
I look at Cleveland. I can count on Kluber and those other guys, Tomlin, Bauer, Carrasco, Salazar. I don't know. I like the Rangers.
Fair enough. Another bad bet we got to talk about. The Cardinals last night. They took a ton of money. Bet up from 170 to 185. In fact, it was higher than that before some late buyback on the Mets. Jaime Garcia lit up for the 2nd straight start. And Pauly, the Cards continue to burn backers at home chalk. But not as road dogs. Great road team. Terrible home team all year long.
Wild numbers there with St. Louis home road. And Cespedes back in the lineup. Mets start hitting again. 18 runs the last 3 games. Cespedes getting it done. If you saw the 30 for 30 on ESPN on Todd Marinovich, and that poor kid, He was arrested in neighbor's yard naked. He had ganja on him. Teddy, strangest thing you've done, drunk or high?
Well, gosh, I'm trying to remember there, Paul. I don't know if I want to be admitting this stuff necessarily. Let's see. Again, I spent many years in Ann Arbor as a college student.
Yeah.
I almost got arrested naked once.
Oh.
We ran. There was one time we were really wasted. That was a national championship game and we lost. I went to a riot and I got tear gassed all wasted. That was a lot of fun. And basically everything in Michigan. You're in college. You're drunk or high a fairly high percentage of the time, certainly compared to the rest of life.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But in my 40s, not so much. I'm not running around, naked, stoned through people's backyards.
Yeah.
What about you? What's the dumbest thing you've ever done, drunk? Oh, I forgot. There's one I completely forgot, Paul. Agreeing to do a show with you every day here on Sportsbit. But
yeah, you're sober.
I was stone cold sober when I agreed to do that.
There you go.
What about yourself? You got any funny stories you want to tell?
You wish you were high. Went to Guns N' Roses a couple years ago, and there was a lot of drinking involved. And I just moved in with my girlfriend. We bought a house together, who's now my fiance. And after the concert, I came back home and I had to go to the bathroom. I thought I was in the bathroom. I was in the closet. Take a guess what happened.
Nothing good. Nothing good coming out of that instance.
I took a beating that night. The next morning when I knew, I took a beating for what happened. And I drank so much and didn't know where the hell I was. All right, up next, big game breakdown, huge games. Poor Marinovich. Christ, you're 47, man. Get a hold of yourself. Giants and the Dodgers and the Royals and the Marlins on SportsBit. Betting Insight today on SBRPicks.com.
Hey, Sportsbit viewers, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah,
Mike
you
Brenner
do.
and I are up in August. You know, Mike Brenner, I ran your August numbers yesterday. You're up over 20 units in August.
Yeah, I had another good
Pretty
day
amazing,
yesterday.
Mike Brenner. Tell them why I don't know why.
Wait, you didn't think I had it in me, did you? Honestly.
Sure, I did. Sure,
Okay,
I
all right.
yeah, I'm just blown away.
Hey.
Tune into today's show Wednesday, August 24th. Maybe we can do it again. I don't know.
I think we can, and as I always say, get the best of both worlds. After you're all done with Teddy and Pauly, come on over to our house.
Back on SportsBit, time for Big Game Breakdown. As always, live on sportsbookreview.com. The huge series continues in Los Angeles. The Giants against the Dodgers for first place. Dodgers $1.35, 7.5 the total. It's Cueto. Hey, it's Rich Hill with the Dodgers. So everything that's on the line here, this is why the Giants signed Cueto and brought him in, Teddy. He's got to deliver. That's why they grabbed him.
Yeah, I mean, it's 6 straight starts without a win for Johnny Cueto. San Francisco 2-4 in those 6 starts. Now, he did hold the Mets to a single run over 7 innings of work in his last outing, and didn't walk anyone, and that's been a continuing theme for Cueto all season. You look at the last 3 years, walks per 9 inning, steadily going down. This year, number 6 in baseball. The fact that Cueto's just not giving up any extra base runners. His control's been dynamite all season long. That's made him the pitcher that he is, even though San Francisco continues to scuffle and struggle with him on the hill.
Teddy, what do we do with Rich Hill, who was great in Oakland, 9-3 with the 2.25, but we finally see him start with the Dodgers after the trade. He's had that blister injury for a long time, and it's been a long time since he's pitched in a playoff pressure, big-type game atmosphere.
Oh, you're not kidding. I mean, the last time that Rich Hill made a start after the All-Star break for a contender, how about this? September 2007 with the Cubs, who won the division that year, mind you. And then, of course, he got rocked in a playoff game, KO'd after 3 innings by Arizona. You talked about those impressive numbers from Rich Hill early on this year, and he was dynamite, okay? 9-3, 2.25. That doesn't even tell the whole story because he started 1-2. He had a weird start. We had to fill in for Sonny Gray, and he wasn't ready. Well, 8-1 since that 1-2 start. Of his last 10, 9 have been quality starts, and the 10th would have been a quality start, but he got pulled needing 1 more out to finish the 6th inning. He allowed 3 runs in a game only once during that entire span. Now, we're talking about a guy who was in tremendous form, really tremendous form. Now, the blister's supposedly fixed. It's kept him out for more than a month. As you mentioned, hasn't pitched since July 17th, but supposedly that's fixed. And this is a guy that's only allowed 2 home runs all year in 76 innings over 14 starts. So I say he was in great form, Tonight for me with Rich Hill is a watch only. This is a watch and learn type of outing for me, not one that I plan on getting involved with a wager.
Imagine if he pitches like he did in Oakland. I mean, the Dodgers need pitching. Imagine if the Dodgers had pitching and they get Kershaw back the way they're hitting the ball. They tied the record last night. They put 2 more guys on the DL. They put Anderson and Kazmir back on the DL. They called up Stripling. They set the record. It's August, mind you.
Exactly. Plenty more time for more Dodgers to go on the DL. But, here's the truth. LA can hit, all right? They've been hitting all year. That being said, this team has a significant recent postseason history of failures in both departments. They're not hitting in October, and they haven't pitched well in October. And when you have a team that makes the playoffs over and over and over again and has those early exits, it doesn't make the World Series, my inclination is always prove it to me, as opposed to saying, well, this year's going to be different. Oh, can you imagine if? Dodgers have been consistent failures in recent years in October, and until proven otherwise, I have to expect them to do the same if they manage to win the division.
Yep, game number 2, liveoddsportsbookreview.com. The Red Hot Royals in Miami to take on the Marlins. It's G against Fernandez. Marlins 250, 7 the total. Look at this. 9 in a row for the Royals and 13-1 in their last 14 games. That whole roster is filled with guys with October experience and believing they can win in October and win big games. But is G one of them?
Well, and that's a good question. I mean, they opened 2-7 in G starts, but he did have his best game of the season versus Minnesota at home in his last outing. 7 innings of work, 1 run allowed, just 5 hits, 7 strikeouts in that game. So we say, is this a resurgence or is it just a one-off against a bad team? I mean, this guy has been the epitome of an MLB average pitcher. How about this? Over his last 773 innings, 45-43 with a 4.09 ERA. But when we talk about this Royals team, well, they've got elite defense. They've got elite bullpen. If you can be an average starter and eat up some innings, you can end up being pretty good.
I thought they would miss Wade Davis, but Herrera's stepped up and been dynamite.
Oh, he sure has. Did it again last night in that 1-0 thriller where KC won at Miami. Is 6 straight scoreless outings for Herrera, 4 saves, 7 strikeouts, only 1 hit allowed during that span. And again, needed only 14 pitches in a 1-2-3 inning to shut down Miami in the 9th last night.
Well, Fernandez wasn't himself in Cincinnati, so he's back in his home ballpark where he's been dynamite in his whole career. They're going to need him tonight. You look at this graphic, the splits continue. Career at home, 26-2 with a 1.62. Career away, 8-14 with an ERA of 3.99. And Teddy, we think he's starting to run out of gas.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, we talked about it on yesterday's Sports Bit, Pauly. This is the time of the season where sometimes the season-long aggregate numbers are going to hurt you as much as they're going to help you. You look at those numbers and say, how can you possibly look to bet against Jose Fernandez at home? Oh, my God, he's 26-2 in his career with a 1.62. Look at this year. He's 9-2 with a 2.07. And then you look at his current form, okay? His last 4 starts, he's 0-3. The Marlins are 0-4. His ERA is over 6, and he's only lasted 21 innings of work. Now, this is a guy that didn't pitch full seasons in either of the last 2 years. Now here we are in late August. Now, the Marlins have really tried to prevent the fatigue issues. He's never worked in the 8th inning all year. But the fact is, he's really scuffled his last few starts. And I wonder if those Jose Fernandez home stats are ready for some regression.
Yep, we'll get back to this game in the play of the day. Up next, deep dive, a lot of NFL news. Aguayo struggles in practice again. His own fans booed him. We'll get to that, and teams calling the Browns about Josh Gordon on SportsBit. Betting Insight today on SBRPicks.com. Hey guys, it's that time of year again, football season. And with that, let's hear from everyone's favorite prick.
If you like Captain American football, there's 50,000 dead presidents on the line in this year's Beat the Prick contest. In case you ain't fucking guessed, I'm the prick. Click on the link below for more info. I'm ready to stomp some ass. This is going to be my best performance yet. So join today. It's free, you fucking squares.
Back on SportsBit, Pauly and Teddy, deep dive, a lot of NFL news. Let's start in Cleveland, where teams are calling about Josh Gordon Should the Browns listen, Teddy?
Absolutely not. All right, you look at Cleveland, all right, and you say last year this team didn't have a lick of skill position talent. Then all of a sudden you start thinking, with Josh Gordon, well, let's see, you got a 4-3 guy in Josh Gordon. You got a 4-3 guy in Terrell Pryor. So far in the preseason, 3 nets for 107 yards and a touchdown on 3 catches in limited time with RG3. You got the rookie Coleman, I should say, who's got also 4-3 speed.
Kid for Baylor.
Now you got 3 guys who can run verticals and really give defenses trouble. So we also talked a little bit about Josh Gordon, the relationship that he has with some of the guys in Cleveland, most notably RG3. They were Baylor teammates. Gordon's a guy who's had all kinds of issues when it comes to staying on the field and avoiding problems at the NFL level. Having a guy like RG3 there for him to help him and guide him makes perfect sense for Cleveland. And why on earth would they want to trade him for pennies on the dollar right now? It makes no sense.
Well, yeah, I don't know what a team's going to give up, considering he had that great season when he had 1,600 yards in 14 games. But the guy has missed 27 of the last 32 games played because of the off-the-field issues, and he suspended the first 4 games of this season. So I don't even know what they could even offer. So the Browns shouldn't even listen. But here's a good quote from Gordon. Cleveland's my team. That's where I want to be. That's not even in the ballpark for me. I'm not sure how that works. I think it works out perfectly then for me, Mr. Haslam, the organization, Coach Jackson. I think the world of these guys, the city and the organization, their family, they're showing me the love and respect back to me by allowing me to stay here up to this point. And he's right about that. I mean, most teams would have said, get out. You can't keep it together. Come on.
But at the same time, there's no point in trading a potential star for pennies on the dollar. And of all the quotes, this is the one that really stood out to me. This is from the cornerback, the Pro Bowl cornerback, Joe Hayden, after facing Josh Gordon and Corey Coleman and Terrell Pryor in practice. Quote, "That's a really, really solid receiving core. You know, each one of them running under 4-3 can take you vertical. Those are really, really good deep threats. Teams don't have 2 players like that, and we have 3 of them. So just being able to challenge people vertically, not being able to put an extra safety in the box because you need to have 2 safeties deep to make sure the corners don't get beat. I think that just stretches it out the field for us in ways that we haven't had before. No, the Browns should not trade Josh Gordon. They already lost all their veterans from last year. All of a sudden, you know, there are a few, let's call it green shoots in Cleveland. There are some positive signs, and we've been hearing some positive reports from Hugh Jackson and his staff about how at least this offense is looking. The defense still got a whole bunch of issues, but the offense at least is looking solid in camp.
All right, this deserves some attention. We should focus on this for most of this segment. Aguayo struggled in practice again. Now, he went in a joint practice today with the Browns. He went 3 of 6 on field goal attempts. He missed a 35-yard field goal. One of them he kicked right into the line. His own fans were booing him. And it's up, like Dirk Cutter said, it's upstairs messing with him mental. No kidding. I mean, this guy, he never missed a field goal under 40 yards in college. He missed an extra point week 1. He missed a 32 and a 48-yard field goal last week. And now he goes out and stinks in practice. They gave up picks to move up to take him in the second round. The GM's got to be going bananas here.
Now, let's start with this. Here, 198 for 198 on extra points in college. He missed 9 field goals in 3 years. Okay. So if you have a kicker who's struggling, where do you want him to struggle, Pauly? Kickers go through slumps. They all do it at various times in their careers. Where do you want to go through a slump? Do you want to go through a slump once the regular season starts? Or how about in practice and here in the preseason? Who cares? You keep ripping the organization for drafting a kicker. And again, I was in Detroit when they drafted Jason Hansen. All right, they drafted him early. And Jason Hansen went on to be a kicker for 19 years in Detroit. And I don't know if he's going to go to the Hall of Fame or not. But when you have that level of competentness at the kicker position, when you say, this is my guy. Remember Janikowski for Oakland. He was the last kicker that went fairly high. He's had a real good career. And he hasn't been making every field goal. There have been times where he slumped too. But if you see your guy, you say, I want this guy long term. I want to lock up this position. I don't want to have those struggles. Say, all right, Aguayo, is that a bad camp? Is that a bad preseason? That doesn't mean he's a bad kicker. That doesn't mean that the team that drafted him made a miserable move to do
No,
it.
I don't think that either, but my God, they're running into some bad luck here. Here's what I don't like. After the first game, he said he was nervous and he had butterflies. It's the goddamn preseason. What's going to happen when you got to make a 49-yard field goal in week 7?
He'll nail it by week 7.
How can you be so sure he's got the yips? This could be Steve Sachs all over again. It's all upstairs.
We'll have to agree to disagree on this one, Paul.
All right. Good and
that's
bad.
the bottom line for me. I'm buying Aguayo. Right now, I'm buying Aguayo.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what. It's your money. Do what you want. But the fans booing him doesn't help matters either. The guy's getting booed in practice, for God's sakes, by his own fans.
It's like with anyone else on special teams. The last thing you want to do is anyone to notice you. Kick your field goals, make your field goals. You don't want you're better off not knowing the punter's name. You don't want to know the long snapper's name. It's only when you're making mistakes that anyone knows who you are.
All right, good and bad news for the Cowboys. Ezekiel Elliott's back. He'll play against Seattle. Des Bryant's out with the concussion Thursday.
Yeah, and Bryant, with touchdowns in each of the first 2 games for the Cowboys. I was having a discussion with a person that I talk to every week when it comes to preseason football. Like, Des Bryant is not worth that much. He kind of is when it comes to this weekend's matchup in Seattle.
What's going on with the Patriots? Another injury.
Yeah. I mean, defensive end Jabal Shurd has been dealing with sprained MCL. They're talking about 2 to 4 weeks, maybe 4 to 6 in a worst case scenario. But, we're talking about a guy who was 3rd in their defensive end rotation last year. But they traded Chandler Jones in the offseason. He's expected to be their best pass rusher. He might not be ready for week number 1. And meanwhile, Pauly, the Bills got Sammy Watkins back. He's expected to play against the Redskins this weekend following offseason foot surgery. Pauly, that Bills defense looked awful good the first 2 weeks of the preseason. Tyrod Taylor, the single most underrated quarterback in the NFL last year. The Pats are all banged up already. Is there any way that you see the Bills beating the Pats and ending New England's reign of domination in the division? Any way?
I'm not even going to respond to that. They shut down Nassib and Logan Thomas? Please. Not to mention, Darius is suspended. Lawson's out. They got Ragland out. No way. No way, no how.
Jets then? Is there anyone in that division that's capable of hanging with New England? So the Patriots can continue to suffer injuries day, every day, and it's no big deal?
They still win 10. They'll find a way to win 10 or 11, just like every damn year. They won 11 when they lost Brady. The hoodie will make it happen.
The Matt Cass on that's the one thing that I always think back to New England is they won 11 games with Matt Castle at quarterback. And if you watch Matt Castle play anywhere else at any point in the rest of his NFL career, you say, how the hell did this team possibly win 11? And any team possibly win 11 games?
Yeah, he had Belichick and Randy Moss. That certainly helps. All right, money time. Play of the day. Back to the Royals and the Marlins. This makes sense, Teddy. What are we doing?
It's just on principle. Look. Game number 975, Kansas City plus 220. You have 2 teams fighting for a playoff spot. One of them is an experienced veteran team. The other one, not so much. One team has won 9 straight, 13 of their last 14. These teams should not be $200.20 underdogs, especially with Fernandez starting to run out of juice. Yeah, Kansas City at the big dog price. Take the Royals plus 220. That's our play of the day.
That's very good. Back tomorrow, 2 NFL games. The big series continue in Major League Baseball. The week of preseason that really matters. It's going to go hard Thursday and Friday here on SportsBit. Betting Insight today on SBRPicks.com.